Welcome back to the show. Today we have Robin Rath, co-founder and CEO at Pixel Press, creator of Bloxels. Robin, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Kevin. Thanks for having me again. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on the show. I thought, well, first off, what you're doing I think is really cool. But maybe before we kind of get into exactly what Bloxels is, let's maybe get to know you a little bit better and just kind of cover your background quick.
Yeah, definitely. So I live in St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
I'm from Southern Illinois, but I've lived here for 15 years or so. And we founded our company 3 years ago. We're 10 people now, started off as 4 guys with an idea.
That's awesome.
We played video games growing up, and one of the things that we did often was we would draw like concepts of video games on paper.
Sure.
And would always dream about like bringing them to life, but didn't really have a good way to do that. So when we first came together, we had this unique idea of drawing video game ideas on graph paper and then taking a picture of them with like a tablet or a phone and turning it into a game instantly. We knew how to do that. So we actually started our company on a Kickstarter campaign in June of 2013 around drawing your own video game and bringing it to life.
Sure, yeah, I remember that Kickstarter campaign, and that was kind of where I think, well, the world obviously found out about you. You guys have kind of come a long way from that original kind of graph paper drawing, and now you have your own kind of like Bloxels board. Do you maybe want to kind of talk about what exactly Bloxels is?
Yeah, definitely. So Bloxels is our latest product. It's actually available in all major retailers this Christmas.
That's great.
Pick it up at Target and Walmart. This is the box, actually. This is our latest design.
Sure.
And you're going to see, if you understood what I was saying before, which you may not have, that's fine. But basically the idea here is that you're creating the configuration of a video game level, kind of like Super Mario Brothers or Sonic the Hedgehog. And this is allowing you to design a video game without actually programming a video game. So you build here on the board, you take a picture of it with a tablet, and it turns it into a game that looks like this instantly. The colors actually have meaning. So green is ground, yellow is coin, blue is water. So I've actually got a game board here in front of me, and a little bit later on in the program, I'm going to show you guys how you bring this to life.
Sure. That's awesome. I love that, right? And obviously, like, you and I both grew up in kind of like the pixel art video game era, and it's like, it's totally back. I think it's awesome, right? So
yeah, Minecraft's huge right now. Pixels are huge. There's movies and all sorts of stuff. So, kids love simple games. They're really popular on mobile, and by using a simple game formula, we can give them the ability to create a game and play it and share it instantly, which is not an experience that we had as kids. And even today, coding is great, but it's not for everybody, and it's not always the quickest way to have fun as far as building and sharing.
Sure. No, I think that's great. So kind of walk us through how you kind of use the board to actually make something.
Sure. So each kit, and I showed you guys the box, comes with a game board and 320 blocks. And you get a guide that looks a little bit like this. It's a booklet that you can flip through, but this is one of the pages in the booklet. And what you're seeing here is basically a key or a coding system of what each thing means. So I mentioned to you guys ground and water and coins. There's also fire, indestructible blocks, so on and so forth. So you take the blocks and you arrange them on the board like you see here.
That's great.
And then you take your device. This works on Kindle or Android or Amazon phones and tablets. You take a picture of it, and I'm going to skip a couple steps because it's going to be hard to show you on the screen. But essentially what happens is that now becomes that same layout.
That's amazing.
In the screen, and if I click play, it actually takes me into the game instantly. So we've actually designed this game quite a bit, but you can also use the game board to create your character. So you'll see here we've created one of our favorite characters called Ugly Sweater Kitty.
I love that.
His sweater and his eyes. And now when I show you here with the game up close, you'll see there's Ugly Sweater Kitty.
That's awesome.
He's actually navigating and fighting. Very fun game experience. And ultimately, this is really deep too. So if I back out and show you guys the map, you can see that's actually just one room of a much larger game. So it's it's a great to just jump into designing your own video game, but also has a lot of depth as well.
Sure. So I'm curious to know kind of how did you even kind of get to designing, like how did you walk me through kind of how you went from kind of graph paper to building like a physical thing that people can actually build?
So So our graph paper product has been in market for going on 2.5 years, and one of the things that we heard early on was that one, I want to create my own characters, and our graph paper piece was based in like paper and pencil, no color involved, and we were also finding that the ability to create games was highly dependent on fine motor skills, so like staying in the lines and shading and stuff. So by having this game board, we were able to make it easier for younger kids. And also by incorporating color, we made it so that you could create your own characters, which is one of the things that kids really latch on to. You know, they watch all these great movies and watch all these great cartoons, and they want to design their own characters. So our platform allows you to make a video game, which in a lot of ways, every video game is just a story wrapped into an interactive experience. They're able to do that with this platform. As far as transitioning there, it was a lot of fun. We actually started prototyping this out of plexiglass on a laser cutter. So we actually worked with like a local fabricator to design this game board. And then we started reaching out to some of our friends who had friends who were in the toy business, and they started connecting us with manufacturing plants. And it kind of snowballed from there, and just the pieces started falling into place.
That's awesome. So do you get them? Did you end up shipping manufacturing to China for the actual board now?
Yeah, so the game board, so we released this in January of this year. We had around 5,000 units produced, and we started selling them in local toy stores. So we had local toy stores throughout the U.S. that we just reached out to directly and asked them if they'd be interested in carrying the product, and we shipped it around January. And then we actually debuted this in a booth at Toy Fair in New York, so the biggest toy fair here in the United States. And we actually caught the attention of a number of larger toy companies.
Oh, interesting.
And within about 6 months, we ultimately signed a partnership with Mattel, who's one of the world's largest toy companies. And they're actually distributing this product here in the US this year and worldwide next year in partnership with us.
Wow, that's amazing. Congrats on that. That's huge for you guys.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been, you know, Mattel's a big company, but it's been it's been fun working with a group of people that are passionate about what we're doing, and they really get that products for kids, especially with video games, need to be about creation as much as about consumption. So we're actually delivering a product with them that delivers on a message that's very important to them as well.
Sure. Well, and I think the bigger thing that you guys are doing too is you're basically teaching kids how to program, right?
Definitely. There's a lot of thought process that goes into how to configure these pieces. They're not writing code per se, but the way that these pieces interact with each other from a game design perspective and a programmatic perspective creates different challenges. So if they're out to create a fun game or a challenging game, they can do that by using these different colors to program their game rather than actually writing scripted code.
Sure. And I think that's kind of a life skill, or at least I believe that programming is a life skill, or at least understanding kind of logic. Whether you ever write code, everything is moving online, right, and digital. And so if you understand that logic, especially from an early age, and you guys are making it fun, where kids don't really realize that they're learning, right? They're creating something.
I mean, there's the cause and effect. Iteration is a big thing for kids to learn. We hear this from teachers all the time because our product is used in classrooms throughout the United States and internationally, is that teaching a kid to understand how to like iterate through saying writing a term paper is challenging. They don't understand that you don't just write it once and it's perfect. You've got to like get feedback and go through that loop. And with video games, they do understand that because they understand the concept of like bugs and testing and fun versus difficulty and things like that. So by designing a video game, it's an applied mechanism for learning the iterative process.
Sure, that's great. So I'm curious then, just for the listener, that so I basically have to build every level and every character kind of once, and then take a photo and then import that into the game, or
that's
walk
correct.
me
So
through that.
Game board is a room of the game, and the room of the game can be up to 169 rooms. The app does come with a number of design assets that you can use right outside of the box, and you can actually share everything that you create to a sharing area we call the infinity wall, and you can actually buy assets with virtual coins from other players, so there's an exchange system. The app's a free download. There are no in-app purchases. The kit's $49.95 and unlocks all of these features.
Okay, so basically I build my game board, and then like you showed earlier, I build each character on that board, import it into the game. Okay, very cool. And then, like you said, you're on Android, iOS, all the Kindle stuff.
Yep, you got it.
Okay, and so like you mentioned, can people order it directly from you, or they have to go to a retailer and get it? Obviously, like online or offline.
Yeah, you can get it directly from us, and we have a couple of extra items. We have actually a classroom pack where you can get multiple items that come with educator curriculum. You can also get it on Amazon, Toys R Us, Target, Walmart, GameStop. Most major retailers are carrying this. If you're in a more rural area, you might only find it at some of the bigger places. But then, if you're in a more city, you might be able to find it at some of the bigger GameStops.
Sure. So you've been out kind of just almost a year now. What's the next step for kind of Bloxels?
Yeah, so we're already thinking about next year and primarily Christmas of next year. We are in the toy and the game and the entertainment space, so it's always like, what's next?
Sure.
So we're working on extensions of this product to incorporate new play patterns and new ideas. And we're even talking about 2018 already, so we have a lot of ideas about where to take this, but it'll always be rooted in creating and sharing and building your own ideas and getting them out there.
Sure. No, that's great. And I think it's awesome that you guys are kind of getting into the classroom and the education space, right? I think that's super important, and I love that. So I'm curious then, you guys kind of have this block party, and I kind of was watching some of them.
Yeah.
What is it? Like, tell the listener and the viewer what exactly block party is.
Yeah, so if you go to our YouTube channel, just search Bloxels, you'll find Block Party. We had fun naming that. It was obvious. It's like Block Party, perfect.
Sure.
But it's hosted by a couple guys here in St. Louis, 3 guys, Danny, Joey, and John. And they actually work for a company called VAT19, which is really popular with the younger crowd. It's a kind of like a knick-knack gift shop, like fun products, and they create these awesome videos about products. And they did that for us, and we actually asked them to host a weekly show. So we have a weekly show on YouTube called Block Party. It's a variety show about creating with Bloxels, and they take inspiration ideas from the audience, and they build different things. So it's partly about learning how to use Bloxels, and it's oftentimes very funny. So it's a great way to spend 10 minutes of your day learning about Bloxels and also having a great time.
Sure, that's great. So kind of, you guys have built quite the community around the whole platform, and I think it's quite impressive to me. So how has the community kind of embraced the product?
Yeah, definitely. So our top creators are featured weekly.
Sure.
On our featured area. We have, we find our favorite content. There's also some new lists that we just added, which is like most recently, most plays in the recent timeline. The thing that we find most inspiring to us as creators is those that are really using the platform to tell a story. So whether it's an original character that they come up with, or they're telling a story about a past president because they use it for a classroom, like just the creativity is really awesome. One thing that we have coming up in March of next year is our 2nd annual Kids as Video Game Makers contest. So we're actually taking entries for games that our players create, and we're giving away a number of prizes. We're going to be recognizing those winners at Game Developer Conference, which we did last year in San Francisco in March. So definitely keep an eye out for that on our website. There'll be some great prizes involved.
Sure, that's great. And you're also building kids' confidence by kind of showcasing them and putting them online, right? I think that's great.
No doubt about it. It's really cool. We hear from parents all the time, like, my kid has been having a hard time connecting with the world in different ways. We hear from parents of kids with learning disabilities that might not kind of fit it in different ways. Video games is a universal language to kids. They all understand video games and how they're played, and to give them this as a storytelling mechanism is a great way to kind of get them learning and engaging and still playing.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's super important, right? So I'm curious to know what exactly, I guess, like, is there a kind of a favorite type of game that you've seen, or kind of maybe walk me through kind of a traditional kind of game that you're kind of passionate about and you play sometimes that are made with the platform?
Yeah, so a lot of the games are similar in kind of how the mechanics work. That's
Sure.
One thing about making video game design easy is we eliminate a lot of the complexities of scripting and kind of offer a similar framework. But the ones that I like the best are, again, the ones that evolve in a storyline. So The white blocks that you use here, these can actually have dialogue associated with them. So you actually write out the storyline. And the best ones we're finding are ones that kind of start the narrative very simply and then get it more complex along the way. We've seen some interesting stuff around like teaching digital citizenship, which is a really cool one. They're teaching kids about like being, great citizens online and things like that. So there's a lot of really cool ways that you can use this to tell a story, and those are the ones that stand out to us.
Sure, that's great. Actually, that's a really interesting use case where you're kind of using the platform to build a video game that's like an educational video game that kids play, right?
Definitely. I mean, we all learn from the things that we consume, sometimes for better or for worse. The ones that we've found are the ones that are out there to kind of communicate, not necessarily some kind of like powerful message, but even a story of a princess and, and a hero or whatever it might be. It's really fun to see kids kind of like use abstract thought to bring all these different pieces together into a story.
Sure. So have you found that it's mostly kind of little like girls and boys, or mostly just boys, or kind of a mix of both?
Different aspects of the experience seem to appeal differently. So on the creative side, we see a lot of girls really engaging with it. Obviously with boys as well, and then with boys sometimes you'll see very challenging games and like very difficult games. Like there's definitely like those typical personality traits that come out in what they create. But then whenever you get them together, you see some really cool things happen, especially when we work with kids in the classroom and say like, you do this part of the game and you do this part of the game, and seeing those kind of like different personalities come together. Yeah.
Sure, that's great. And like I know kind of there's been certain games at least that have kind of appealed to maybe later in teenagers too, like girls and boys, and kind of beyond that. And like the one that comes to mind is kind of World of Warcraft. But I think the first game, at least in my opinion, that kind of made it really popular for kind of boys and girls is kind of Minecraft, right? And so I think that you guys are kind of doing something similar to that, right? Is you're basically making it popular to kind of both like girls and boys. And I think that's also super important.
Definitely. I mean, when you start out the game, it's a blank slate, right? Green is ground, the ground is green, yellow are coins, and then you can customize those items through the artwork that you create. So if you want to make your coins candy canes or lollipops or, I don't know, pickaxes, it doesn't really matter. You can actually kind of pick that. So there's other products out there that kind of let you make video games, but kind of make some of those design choices for you. By letting the creator make these design choices, a lot of their personality and their traits can come out through that creation.
Sure. Do you, when you import, so I make an item like a lollipop or something.
Yep.
Do you take that and kind of, like, I guess wrong's not the term, but like if it's not perfectly kind of like round, for example, do you round it off, or do you just leave it how it is if it's missing like a pixel or two from?
You certainly can. I mean, that's the choice you have. Like everything, basically, once you bring this in, you can skin everything how you want, and if you're not happy with it, you can edit it. Or if you're not good at making, that particular item, you can go out on the infinity wall and find it and buy it from another player. So there's definitely a lot of options when it comes to that.
That's great. So we're kind of coming to the end of this. Do you maybe want to kind of give a quick, brief overview of the platform again, and then where people can get more information about you guys online?
Yeah, definitely. So you can check us out by just searching Bloxels, that's with an X, or going to bloxelsbuilder.com. You can buy this product from our website. Again, it's called Bloxels. It's a build your own video game platform. With this kit, which is $49.95, you're going to be able to get the game board, 320 blocks, and then the tablet is a free download. Once you open up the kit, you're going to see this game board, and you can arrange these blocks using the handy booklet that it'll come with, and it'll show you how to build your video game. And then you take a picture of it with the camera on your Android, Kindle, or iOS device, and click the play button, and you'll instantly be playing a video game that you can continue building on and eventually share with your friends or your family or whoever you want.
That's great. Well, Robin, I really appreciate you taking the time of your day to be on the show again, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you. And who knows, let's see what happens in 2017.
Definitely. Kevin, it's always great to talk to you. I hope to talk to you again soon.
All right, sounds good. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.